Well, the common definition of SDN is a network where we decouple the network control from the network data plane. And that's an acceptable technical definition, but the more interesting definition is that we decouple the purchasing of the control from the purchasing of the data plane, so that essentially you can buy interoperable components from different vendors. This is what the movement of SDN is about. It's really driven from the network user side of the market. This is not something that's really coming from the vendor side. But when you talk about it in technical terms, that can often get lost. It was really started in a strategic way from service providers that are looking at that they need to be able to have incredibly agile networks in order to support cloud and other transformations that are going on in the industry. And they need to be able to do things, support innovation that happens very rapidly and not on the 2 or 5 year cycle that was the tradition that happened in a network or in a hardware kind of a network. So that's been driving it strategically more on the service provider side. But there's many benefits, and the Web 2.0s and so on, they also want this kind of innovation. So that's being driven also strategically by those folks. Then there's others for whom IT is more tactical, not quite as strategic, and they also get benefits, but they don't necessarily invest large development teams in this kind of an effort. But as SDN becomes mature, and it's getting into that phase right now those buyers also become very interested, because now the solutions are becoming mature and well-defined, something that they can fit into their network in the near term. Well, there's been some big name successes. That Google had a success, but they built it themselves. They connected their data centers using SDN technologies built on somebody else's hardware and on their software. And Internet 2 has a very interesting success running 100 gigabit Ethernet using SDN control over OpenFlow. And there's a number of other successes that we're not quite ready to announce yet, unfortunately, but there will be more and more of these successes. There's going to be a lot coming up next week in Dusseldorf at a conference where a number of vendors, including ourselves, will be showing off solutions that are really ready for prime time. And then tremendous progress in Open Daylight that's highlighting the convergence in the SDN controller space, and which is really necessary for the environment to take off. When we had 20 controllers all competing for the same space, that made things difficult. But now we're seeing this really productive convergence that's going to enable SDN to really mature and go forward. You know, it's interesting. This happens with new technologies on a regular basis, where you end up talking to the customers that are most deeply interested in this technology, and that can give you a bit of a narrow worldview. And that's certainly been going on in the industry, where we talk to customers that are very aggressive about the technology, but we realize that not every customer fits that same mold. And so we wanted to sort of check ourselves and make sure that we understood the marketplace correctly and in its richness. And this validated a number of things and also kind of highlighted some things that maybe we weren't completely aware of. So for example, there are a good number of customers, especially the larger ones, the ones that are strategic about it, that are spending a lot of time and energy understanding SDN and NFV, and they have their own definition of it. And they know what it means for them. And then there's another range that kind of knows, and they're paying attention, but they're less involved. And then there's another group that has been a bit on the sidelines and really doesn't have a clear idea what SDN means and what it could mean for them, and what similarly for NFV. This is like in the 40% range, 37 I think percent for SDN and 45% for NFV. If you focus on the people that you're talking to, you'll miss that. And yet those customers are aware that there's something out there, and there's a potential opportunity for solving problems using SDN if presented to them in the right form. So if you talk to all customers as though they're all already well versed in SDN, you're going to miss out on some customers that could really benefit from SDN. And you can also define your products so that they're meant to be used by a firm that's got a team of developers. When there's another team over here, they're really looking for something they can configure in a half an hour, put it to work, because they've got other things they need to go focus on. And there's going to be a lot of enterprise opportunities involving point solutions. They're going to make a lot of sense in the short term. If you're not looking at these market realities, you could focus in one direction and leave a lot of the market dissatisfied.